It's an AMA. They asked it. We had to do it. We had to do it.
Okay.
And it can be just you respect them that much that you know that you.
I respect this guy's spirals so much. I want to get in bed with him and spoon him and just have fun. Yo, what up, everybody? Simms Unbuttoned. We're back. It's Tuesday afternoon. Welcome. Ahmed Fareed is here today. My homie, Mr. Horseman himself.
That is me, Horseman. I'm a horseman.
Yes,
now.
you are.
Technically, I've covered the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, and now I am a horseman.
Yeah, and now you have 2 more weeks to the Belmont, right?
Yeah.
2 more weeks to the Belmont, and then erase everything you know and restart for next year. Good job by you finally catching up on the business. Way to go.
Yeah, I was really disappointed when I was like, okay, I learned about all the horses for the Kentucky Derby. Next year when they come back in the Kentucky Derby, it'll be really good. They go, no, they don't come back.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, you're funny.
Old horses. So,
all right.
Which, by the way, the intro that we ran right there, one of my favorite moments of the podcast so far.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Good.
You got like a little embarrassed with that whole thing. So did I. Clearly.
Yeah. That was a little weird.
It got weird.
It definitely got weird.
So hopefully we do that again today. Which, by the way, this is the first time I've done the podcast where we've been raised up.
Oh, welcome to the big leagues, sir.
So what happened?
This is big time over here. I don't know if you heard. We're WNBC, and we got desks and everything now. I know. I've been asking for this.
Yes.
And they finally got sick of hearing me talk about it on the podcast and in the office hallways to where they gave me something.
Give them a
here.
desk.
It just feels better. I feel more professional sitting here with everything in front of me, accessible. I mean, not in like the crouching tiger, hidden dragon pose to look up things on my computer.
Yeah.
So this is just more professional.
I have more space.
Yeah.
I have more space for my mugs and my drink and my papers and everything. We're good.
Yeah. All right. And then, all right, let's talk about what we got coming up on the show here.
Okay.
I mean, first thing is we're going to hit some news, certainly. We're going to have a little segment called No Spleen Zone, okay?
What is that about?
Well, you know, if you haven't heard, I'm missing one of my organs, the
I've
spleen.
heard that. No, that's come up a few times.
Yeah, we're going to get into some bull crap that I think is going around the NFL that it's just, it's not going to fly here. Sorry.
You
Pattern's
feel like there's a little spin or spleen going on.
Yeah, a little BS going on.
like
and
that.
I'm going to say that doesn't fly here on Simms Unbuttoned, so I'm going to try to set that straight. And, you know, we'll talk about what else are we going to talk about? Winners and losers, okay?
Oh,
and then
I have a
I
loser.
do want to just let people know that I'm going to Buffalo tomorrow. And for the Thursday podcast, I believe we're going to have it for the Thursday podcast. I'm not even sure. I might be speaking out of turn. But I'm going to hang out with Josh Allen and maybe a few other Buffalo Bills players tomorrow. So that's something to look forward to on the podcast. So there's a little rundown of what to look forward to.
You're higher on Buffalo. I remember when we did our rankings of the top teams in the NFL.
Would be one of those teams.
I was too low on Buffalo, and you said you got to be higher on Buffalo.
Yeah. Your rankings were good, other than Buffalo and Jacksonville. I think those are the only two you messed up on. But other than that, it's good to see you, dude. When the hell's the last time you've been here? I guess it was.
It's been like a couple weeks. I think
AMA. It was the AMA.
It was the AMA.
And you're going to be maybe back for Thursday, which everybody out there, we're doing another AMA. So bring the heat, okay?
We do ask.
I expect and whatever you want. And anything goes on Simms Unbuttoned. Oh, very well done. Ooh, nice placement of the Mahomes pillow.
Oh, if you're
behind
watching
me by Matt Casey. Very nice. He's such a nice interior decorator, my housewife, my work wife.
Because the angles have changed with the desk raised up, and so we got to make sure the pillows are part of the production.
Yeah, well, he stitched that pillow together, so of course it's very important.
So we got the news, and the reason that I haven't done a show with you here lately is because I have been covering the horses, and so we start our news with Bodie Express.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this horse?
I
from
am.
the Preakness?
Yes.
So basically,
that was kind of awesome.
The number 9.
Right.
And immediately, Bucs' jockey off, who's fine, by the way.
Yeah. I was concerned.
And then it continues to run the race. The horse runs the race and finishes the race, and actually finished in front of another horse in the Preakness. We actually have the video if you're watching on YouTube.
I mean, we should have the video. It was only on our damn network. But here we go. Here it is.
Okay, jockey okay. And then there goes the 9. And he just continues to go. What a good horse.
What a good horse. Well trained. What a good animal. First of all, one of my favorite things about this whole thing is not the jockey falling off, but how disappointed the handler was that was in the gate that was trying to get the horse and the jockey out. He was like legitimately pissed off at himself, like an aw shucks, I just screwed this guy's life up.
Well, he was holding onto the reins. It was very odd.
All right, full transparency.
Weird start.
It's awesome that he finished, right?
Yes.
I didn't watch it in live. I feel guilty. I went and saw Avengers.
That's all right.
Yeah, okay. Sorry,
as long
NBC.
as
Don't be mad at me.
Oh, you did watch Avengers?
I watched Avengers. I had to watch it. Yeah, the kids wanted to go Saturday afternoon.
Did that live up to the expectations?
Not for me, it didn't.
Oh.
It was good. It wasn't great. I mean, gosh, damn, how many times do I got to travel down a damn time hole to go back to the future, to go to the future, to go to the past? We got to go to the past, to the future, to stop then. Like, to me, it just went
it got to be too much.
Too much, a little, to me. Yes, like there's no way my 8-year-old had any fucking clue what was going on. He was like, what world are we in? What time is this now? So it was all over the place.
And you go, I can't help you because I don't know what's happening right now.
Okay. I'm not going to give a spoiler alert, but that was the one thing that annoyed me about the movie.
So that's really in right now. There's a lot of that going on. People, Game of Thrones, people didn't like that.
I'm hoping
Avengers
to find LaShawn McCoy at Buffalo tomorrow and discuss that with him. Because he's the first one that gave up the end of the Endgame Avengers.
Oh, he
started this phenomenon of spoiling the movie for everybody. Yes, he started it.
On
like
Twitter,
the first night, he went on Twitter and I guess gave it away on who finally ends the game for Avengers and who does it. So you know what? Another thing I just want to throw props to.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about, at least I don't think enough in the national media, is the damn golf right now. Brooks Koepka, that's just one thing. Right off the top, before we get into football, Brooks Koepka is like journeying into like some special categories here. 4 of the last 8 majors, has a chance to really be the guy in golf going forward. And if you listen to Tiger Woods or Tiger Woods' caddy, they've been making comments about him like they think he is next, basically, to be that guy that maybe is Tiger Woods or whatever. But just cool. And
which we've kind of seen before, right?
I know,
Jordan Spieth, it's like, oh, he's the guy.
Right.
Maybe he's not the guy.
I believe it with this guy, though. I do. I think everything goes. He's got like the Jordan Spieth mentality and calm, cool nature, but he's got more physical ability. You know, I look at the Koepka guy and go, this is a special athlete, not just a golfer. And come on, 4 out of 8 majors, that's pretty amazing.
And from what I understand is he doesn't really even like golf that much. He's like, I don't really watch it.
I know he was made fun of growing up. His dad used to say, like, you know, oh, you're calling yourself an athlete and doing all those type of things. But he's showing checks now that's saying, you know, I am an athlete and I'm very well paid for it.
I don't watch a whole lot of golf, but I've noticed that he's been trending a lot more lately. Although, you know, he is physically imposing. But Rory McIlroy, he works out a lot and he's faded now.
Yeah, he's not been anything special. You're right.
So you got to wait. You got to wait. Give him 10 years of doing this, then maybe I'll jump on board.
Okay.
So he has 1 decade.
Okay.
Keep it up for 1 decade.
Thank you.
That's my threshold.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm sure he's very concerned with that.
All right. News of the day.
Yeah.
Actually, of the last few days here to catch up on some of the things that have happened. And we will start. We got Zeke in the news, Ezekiel Elliott. We've got possibly Peyton Manning being a GM in the news. But let's start with the Bucs cutting Gerald McCoy. He was the most senior member of the defense, 9 seasons with the club, 31 years old. I think he had 3 years remaining on the contract.
Yep.
Of course, Bruce Arians now the new man in town, the new man in charge. So who knows exactly what they were thinking. It wasn't like he was unproductive, too. He's still been fairly productive. You look over at Pro Football Focus, they had him as the 29th interior lineman, which is still pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
So what do you make of the news of the Bucs and Gerald McCoy parting ways?
You know, honestly, I was a little surprised. I knew that this was a possibility. I honestly thought with the JPP situation and the fact that he got in a car accident and has the neck injury, that actually might, you know, make the Bucs just go, you know what? Well, we got some issues in our D-line here, and we have maybe a little less depth than we thought here to where they would keep a Gerald McCoy around. Listen, I'll say this. To defend the Tampa Bay Bucs, is Gerald McCoy worth $13 million a year at this point of his career? No, he's not. Certainly not. But I do think he's going to have tremendous interest on the market, first off. And a guy that would, I think, going to be able to command $8, $9, maybe $10 million for 1 or a 2-year span in the NFL with some sort of football team. I think there's going to be an incredible market for him. But to like what you said, hey, Gerald McCoy, he's no longer like in the conversation for one of the best D tackles in football. Okay, I get that. But he's still really good. And for a guy who's as talented as he is and was and everything like that, been on a team and been like in like futile Tampa Bay, where never been to the playoffs all his years there. You know, I do think a change of scenery and change of culture can bring out another year or two of greatness of a player of this type of caliber. So I expect the market to be pretty robust for him. I mean, really, listen, I'm going to just list out some teams that I think should and will be, I think, for the most part, players in the, Gerald McCoy free agency tour.
That need him and would be a fit.
Yeah, right. And it fits with the money situation, anything there. First off, the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, the Indianapolis Colts have all the money in the world right now as far as the salary cap's concerned. They have a need at the interior defensive line position, too, so that makes sense. But I'll just list them off. The Indianapolis Colts, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Cleveland Browns, who we have heard were in some discussions with Tampa Bay about trading for Gerald McCoy. I think the New England Patriots are going to be a team that will get involved. This is right up their alley. An aging ex-superstar who wants to be a part of a winning culture and see what it's going to be like, and then Bill can lowball you maybe for like $1 or $2 less million than everybody else does in football because, you'll get to come here and play in the playoffs and maybe win a ring. And so that, I think they're going to be a player. The Seattle Seahawks, they've been talked about it in this as well with Ndamukong Suh. I think that's a real possibility. The Tennessee Titans, I'm going to put them in there. They drafted Jeffrey Simmons in the first round out of Mississippi State. He tore his ACL preparing for the combine, so I don't think he's going to be ready to go. I think there's probably still a need there. And the last team I'll throw in there is the Philadelphia Eagles, who are always looking for more depth on the D-line and are also in a good salary cap situation too. And I had heard through the draft process that the Eagles were looking in the first round to hopefully to get a big-time defensive tackle in the first round, and they all went off the board, and then they had to go another avenue. So those are teams, at least, that make sense to me right at base level. And I do think a guy like McCoy, where he's at in his career, and we mentioned no playoffs or anything like that, he's going to want to go to a contender. It's not just going to be, I'm going to go to the team that's going to pay me the most money. No, screw that. He's made a ton of money in his career already. I don't think he's going to penny pinch over $1 million or $2 million here or there. It's going to be more about the situation.
It's about the life experience. After a while, as a player, it's about the life experience. It's like, okay, is it another $1 million, although a lot of money, is that enough to bypass a playoff run with a good team and a different experience?
That's why you play.
100%.
And it's a different, playoff football is special. Even in big-time NFL football, when you get in the playoffs, it is a different atmosphere.
So the Bucs here, they probably waited to do this now because they were trying to trade him, see if there's any interest out there, if they could get something back.
Right.
No, for the money that he was making for the $13 million. So now you got that money, and there are reports out there that maybe they look at Ndamukong Suh for $10 million. So if you're the Bucs, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Gerald McCoy at $13 million or Ndamukong Suh at $10 million?
Okay. I mean, I would rather have probably Suh at $10 million. I would. I'm not going to deny that. I think if I just went apples to apples and you said, all right, who's the better player, Suh or McCoy at this point in the career? I would give the edge to Suh. I would. I don't think it's by a lot. I really don't. I mean, again, I could sit here and argue that McCoy was the best player in the Buccaneers defense last year. And, I know that's not saying a lot either because they're the most talented defense in the world. But the other thing I think you risk, I would take Suh on the field. But Suh, of course, does have a little history of, ruffling feathers in the locker room and speaking out loud. And
went pretty well in L.A. last year,
Went very well in L.A., but in Miami, it was kind of falling off the tracks a little bit towards the end. And, of course, we know in Detroit it had some issues here and there, too. So, on the field, certainly Suh as far as a better player, but not by a lot. Yeah. But I do think you take a risk as far as having him in the locker room. And if things don't go well or your team does fall apart and all of a sudden you look up and you're 4-8, I think an Ndamukong Suh is a lot more likely to spout off about issues in the team than a Gerald McCoy is. So that's, to me, the balance you have to figure out. But I think a lot of the same teams that we mentioned for McCoy are going to be in the Suh sweepstakes as well. And also with Suh, like you talked about with McCoy and we've already hit here, I have a hard time believing he would go to a place like Tampa Bay. I do. At this point of his career, all the money he's made, I would think, again, he's going to be looking for a Rams-type situation. Sure. Where's a place I can go
unless they outbid for him, but at that point, the Bucs might as well just kept McCoy. They got to pay him the same amount of money.
Well, if they have to pay him the same amount of money, exactly right. People are going to be like, what the hell are you doing? Exactly.
So before we move on from the Bucs, they've done a lot this offseason. Just what do you think of all the things they've done? They re-signed the defensive tackle Donovan Smith for 3 years, $41 million. They lost Quan Alexander to the 49ers. They traded Deshaun Jackson. They drafted Devin White out of LSU, number 5 overall.
Right.
What do you make of it so far? Are they better? Are they worse than they were a couple months ago?
I think that they're better right off the bat, especially from the coaching standpoint. I mean, I'm a Bruce Arians fan, for one, so I love that move. And two, I'm a big Todd Bowles fan as far as being a defensive coordinator. So I think those are two major improvements right off the bat. The draft, hey, I liked a lot of the things they did in the draft, specifically their first few picks with Devin White, Sean Bunting, the corner out of Central Michigan, Jamel Dean, who was a third-round corner out of Auburn, who I think has a chance to truly be a superstar in the NFL. So I like that. Free agency, nothing special. The biggest thing I think to look at there is Donovan Smith. They re-signed him as far as to be that franchise left tackle.
Yeah.
Take a shot on Brashad Perriman to see if he can kind of replace the Deshaun Jackson, factor as far as going deep down the field. And then they got Deion Buchanan, who has familiarity with Todd Bowles and the system, and it's a similar system that Buchanan was in Arizona before here. So that makes sense. I don't look at the offseason and go, wow, what a special offseason. I think the thing I look at and go, okay, there's coaching changes I like, and I do think there's potential on this roster in general. I do. Now, JPP being off the team and Gerald McCoy, that'll make me reevaluate a little bit. But linebacker's okay. There's some young talent in the secondary.
Yeah.
I still have faith in guys like Vernon Hargraves, but the defense is going to be a big question because they've sucked the last few years. There's no other way to put it.
Can they develop on the defensive side?
Can they develop some of these young guys?
Sure.
Offense, I think, when you just talk about can Bruce Arians rein in Jameis?
Yeah.
But they got Mike Evans and O.J. Howard, and Peyton Barber's a better running back than
Seems
people
like they
realize.
have enough tools.
So I think they have
Bruce
enough
Arians
tools on the offensive side of the ball. Sure. It is about the defense.
Okay, so that's the Bucs in the news. Also, unfortunately, in the news once again, who's been in the news a lot this offseason.
Yeah.
A lot for good things for
right.
Ezekiel Elliott. He's
Right.
done a lot of really good things. He had a youth football camp last week. Also, I don't know if we talked
paid
about
for a funeral, right?
of a St. Louis high school football
Yes.
prospect as well. So Ezekiel Elliott has done a lot of really good things this offseason. Unfortunately, video surfaced on a Monday of Ezekiel Elliott involved in an altercation at a concert in Las Vegas. Video of him being placed in handcuffs. Although the Cowboys' COO, Stephen Jones, says he was not arrested, although when you're in handcuffs, you actually are arrested.
Are you technically arrested at that point?
You're not charged. You're
Yes.
not necessarily charged,
But you're arrested.
You're not free to go about your day.
You're right.
With handcuffs on, you need those removed. So, but we saw that video of Ezekiel Elliott, and what do you make of that? What an interesting offseason.
All right. Well, let me ask you first of all. I mean, what did you make of it? Like, what did you think of it? Just looking back at it, real quick.
So, from talking to you,
Yeah.
and other people, you talked about players, and you go out sometimes, and you are the spotlight of fans.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're at a bar, at a concert, sometimes intoxicated fans who are giving you the business.
Sure.
And there is a line between sticking up for yourself and your friends and going across that line and doing something that may be seen as being too confrontational.
Yeah.
I sympathize with people who are in the public spotlight, who are trying to, go to a concert, be out in the public, live their life, right? Because you don't know the circumstances around what happened there. You don't know exactly what went back and forth, what was said to him, so I just, there's not enough information for me to make a judgment.
Yeah, okay. All right. I mean, again, this is not, excuse me. It's not the most egregious things I've seen in the world. I think it doesn't, I don't look at it and go, oh gosh, this video on TMZ, and I think people need to look at the link of this video. We're not going to post it up here on the website, so you're going to have to go find it somehow, some way. But I encourage people to look at it. Yes, he gets in the face of one of the security guards. He kind of bullies him, kind of smushes him, pushes him back. The guy kind of loses his balance, and he kind of gives him a nudge to make sure he falls over. So, yes, not a great look for him, but I'm not going to sit here and go, oh my gosh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen. Where I think it's bad for him, first of all, he's already got a little bit of a reputation, deservedly so or not, just because of some of the 6-game suspension from 2 years ago. And I don't know if that was necessarily just, but the reputation's there. 2, you could argue he's the face of the franchise for the Dallas Cowboys. 3, he's looking for a big-time money new contract, and he should be, because 2 out of the last 3 years he's led the NFL in rushing, and he takes a beating as far as the way he plays the game. He should be asking for money. But, situations like this are not going to make the Cowboys feel warm and cozy about giving you long-term money. Now, they're going to eventually, and I know Ezekiel Elliott is loved by the Dallas Cowboys and loved by just about everybody that's ever played with him or coached him. He's got an amazing way about him, apparently. But what I want to say to everybody out there is go watch that video. And I just want to go to Ezekiel. What are you doing, man? Sure. You're walking around Las Vegas and, I don't know, a concert park where there's not really that many people walking around. You're Ezekiel Elliott. You're wearing a bright yellow Lakers jersey.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't look right that you're walking around and this issue having to deal with this. I don't know what happened with his girlfriend, but obviously there was a confrontation there. And it's just little things that he's got to watch out for. Because it's just little things like this that can snowball into something way worse the next time, to where maybe the next time the security officer's a little bigger and he decides to stand up and maybe he nudges back. And now Ezekiel throws a punch. And all of a sudden we go, oh my gosh, a brawl broke out. And, he broke his wrist or his arm. So that's where I just go, it just shows lack of maturity here. Sure. And that's where I'd like to see him improve.
Right. And for me, I'm just sympathetic to the fact, and you're right, and those are all valid points, of course. I'm sympathetic to the fact that we live in this day and age where a lot of things are out there, a lot of things are recorded more than they used to be.
Yeah. Yep.
And we like to define people by the worst moments in their life a lot of times. And we like to say, oh, let's take this guy and throw him in the discard bin for this one thing that happened 2 years ago, and we don't have to worry about him anymore. He's a bad guy, and we all know it because of this one thing that happened that one time. And so I'm sympathetic to that
you should be. Good for you.
We live in this. We live in a time where it's just like we take the worst moments of people's lives and try to define them by that.
Yes.
And so a mistake, right? Rethink what you're doing, Zeke. You don't put yourself in those situations, but I also don't want to define him by some of the worst moments in his life.
Yeah, no, and exactly right. And again, I don't think this is egregious enough to let this define him, but just something I want to say to him, just be careful with, because it could very easily ruin the rest of your life.
Make smarter decisions.
Right.
The Jets are trying to make some smart decisions.
Yeah.
I think there's some debate on if the decisions they've made here over the past few months are smart decisions, but one guy who I think a lot of people think is a very bright man, very smart, is Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. And we heard over the last few days that Peyton Manning was perhaps in the mix to be the GM of the New York Jets. There was maybe some interest on the Jets side. We didn't know how much interest was on the Peyton Manning side.
I think zero.
We've since learned that that's not going to happen.
No.
So what do you make of the idea that Peyton Manning maybe could be a GM one day, and that the Jets were perhaps poking around at him?
Yeah, well, I mean, anytime Peyton Manning's name is thrown into any conversation, we're going to talk about it. Come on, it's one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the sport. Yes. We know that. I mean, it's football royalty and the Manning family, all of that. So I get it. I never bought into the story totally, and then I made calls around the NFL, and I know some people that hang around Peyton Manning during his personal time anyways, and I just knew that he's not ready for this yet. This is not, right now, he's just enjoying being a retired quarterback, playing golf, having fun, hanging out with the guys, doing all that kind of stuff. It's not about, he's grinding in a room, paying attention to free agents and draft picks and getting ready for his GM opportunity somewhere down the line. No, none of this speaks to the way Peyton Manning would act. Now, I think it became a story because probably his name was thrown out there by somebody in Jets brass, and then his name gets thrown out there and everybody just jumps on it and goes, oh, the Jets are thinking about Peyton Manning. But, at the very least, come on, we all know Peyton Manning to be extremely prepared and always do things the right way. Does this really seem like the situation that, let me jump into the dysfunctional Jets with my old friend Adam Gase and just see if I can fix it up? I know nothing about the team. I'm straight off the ninth green, but I'll figure it out because I'm Peyton Manning. No, we know Peyton Manning's not like that. I mean, Peyton Manning's ultra prepared. He crosses the T twice and dots the I twice, okay? That's what he does. And when it comes time for Peyton Manning to be the GM, we're going to know about it and we're going to hear about the lead up to it. To me, this would be more likely if you told me, Peyton Manning's name is thrown into this conversation to start up the talk for next year of him finding a GM, I would have an easier time believing that than I would actually believe he's trying to be a GM right now in the NFL. But ultimately, listen, I think it's going to be two things with Peyton Manning, two teams that jump out to me. The Tennessee Titans, who are in kind of an ownership limbo themselves right now. The New Orleans Saints, who are also in the same conversation. He went to the University of Tennessee. He's from New Orleans. I think ultimately he's going to go to a place where he has total control. And total control, I mean, he's going to be part of an ownership group that's going to buy one of these teams, right? Yeah. And they're going to make him the president of football operations, and he's going to make all the tough calls and all the big-time moves that you have to make to run a successful organization.
And if it doesn't work out, he goes, how can you fire me? I'm the owner. owner. You can't fire the owner.
Right. I would imagine that he would. He would have some stock in that situation. But yes, that is how I envision it unfolding for Peyton Manning. It's not going to be, oh, you guys need a GM? Me. Okay, I'll come
Mass
and do it.
confusion,
No.
late firing of a GM.
No, I think it's more likely he's going to do, when he decides to do this, we're going to hear about, Peyton's getting prepared for his next move
So how did
in
his
life.
name come up here?
I don't know. Somebody from
the Jets
New
really
York media,
want
the Jets,
him?
they must have been floated out
Maybe we
there,
just started talking about it.
and then people just run away
Maybe
with
it was
it.
never a thing. We just
I don't
started
think it
talking
was
about
ever a thing, other than that his name might have been brought up in the Jets facility.
All right, speaking of never a thing.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever done this segment before.
Right.
It's time for the No Spleen Zone.
No Spleen Zone!
So basically what this is there's a lot of spin that happens. I mean, all year long in the NFL, but definitely in the offseason.
Yeah.
Because you don't have games happening, and so you got to talk about something.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning to the Jets as a
Yeah,
GM.
right.
And so, but there's a lot of spin that happens. It's kind of like
Lot
in
of
baseball,
spin.
too, and in spring training, you're like, oh, the guy's in the best shape of his life. He's not really, but
Right.
you just say that in the offseason.
Yeah.
So here's the No Spleen Zone. And we're going to start, because we just talked about the Jets, we're going to start with the spin that's coming out of New York right now.
Yeah.
Is that Adam Gase is making a huge power play in his first few weeks with the
Power
team,
play.
getting GMs fired, hiring his own friends as the GM,
Right.
perhaps here in the near future. It's a power play for Adam Gase. You buying that? You buying that spleen?
No. Sorry, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. Don't come in here with that BS, okay? First off, let's just start off with the most base level thinking of this all together, right? Adam Gase, I think a lot of him, but I'm certainly not putting him in one of the greatest coaches in the NFL right now category. Nor do I think anybody else in their right mind would do that. I respect Adam Gase too. I'm just trying to make sure everybody knows that. And I do think he's a good football coach. But let's just take it from the base premise of this right here. Okay. Do you think the Jets and ownership were like, man, let's let Adam Gase come in here and just run the show because it works so awesome in Miami. Yeah. Let's let him call all the shots and have all the power and, ultimately let him do whatever he wants with the roster. No, of course that's not what happened. I mean, as dysfunctional and dumb as maybe some out there think the Jets are, they're just not that dumb. I can tell you that, to where they're just going to let that happen. So there was no, fight for power within the organization. McCagnon's ass was on the hot seat before Gase was hired as the Jets head coach. I mean, there was a lot of talk that it would be Bowles and McCagnon out of here together.
Yeah.
McCagnon somehow saved his job, okay? So he does that, okay? But but I don't think Adam Gase came in from day one and was like, right. I got to replace
what
this.
What broke, though? How did it end up?
I think that ultimately it was probably going this way altogether. Yeah. I'm not so sure that this wasn't the ultimate plan to begin with anyways.
Let him run the draft.
People are making, in free agency, it's the end of the year. Not every team and ownership's going to go, oh, we want a new GM to come in the middle of January, right before free agency starts and figure it out for our team and make all the right moves. A lot of times, ownership and people in high places look at it and just go, no, let's just stay the course. We got Adam Gase. He can infiltrate some of the thoughts that McCagnon maybe is having as far as free agency and have conversations about it. But at no point do I think Adam Gase maybe open up some eyes of the owner about things he didn't like about the roster that McCagnon maybe have done or didn't do or whatever it may be? Sure. But McCagnon's butt was on the hot seat regardless, and there was no control for power here at the very base level. That just kind of annoys me, I guess, in that conversation altogether. They're going to hire a GM in New York at some point. Adam Gase is not going to have control. He hasn't earned that control.
But he could have influence, for sure.
Okay,
he
sure.
Should have influence.
And the Jets, if they're smart, they should hire a GM that they feel like is good for the future of their franchise, not just necessarily a guy that they think is going to work perfectly with Adam Gase, okay?
So the name we're hearing is the Eagles VP of Player Personnel, Joe Douglas.
Which makes sense.
They worked together in Chicago.
In Chicago for a year, right. So
I don't know how much you know about Joe Douglas, but I mean, the Eagles, good
Eagles are
extremely the last few years.
Exactly right. He was with the Ravens, I believe, for a number of years too. And then you said the Bears. I mean, those are three front offices I would look at and go, ooh, that's a pretty damn good track record. Sure. I've heard good things about him. So, hey, we'll see where it goes from there. But I think that's the big thing. And the number one thing I heard more than anything with Mike McCagnon through this process here is, one of the biggest concerns with the Jets in that is that McCagnon was he was a big talker to the media. And I know that rubbed some people the wrong way in the higher-up positions with the New York Jets. They felt like McCagnon was releasing information and some of the things that shouldn't be released into the media because of his connections and phone calls he was making.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's a lot there to it.
If you're looking for
Adam Gase making a power play is my point.
Like, if you're looking for reasons why the timing was what it was, I mean, that certainly could be it, right? There's more information coming out than you would have liked.
Not as crazy as everybody's trying to make it to be. This is the start of the new year for GMs right now. Yeah. So it's not a crazy move that the Jets made. I don't think this is like not thought out. I think this was thought out, and they felt like this was the right time.
So, I mean, maybe they just didn't ultimately like some of the stuff that happened in the offseason, and one of those was signing Le'Veon Bell.
Sure.
He's got questions around that and didn't show up to voluntary workouts. So how much do you...
There's questions around everything Mike McCagnon did as a GM. So
Sure.
It's everything that led up to it. Whether I talked about this a little last week, whether it's trading up to get Bryce Petty, who's no longer on the roster, or having one of the worst, dumbest draft picks we've seen in the last 10 years in Christian Hackenberg as a second-round pick, where I don't think most teams would have drafted him. I don't think he was draft eligible, let alone a second-round pick. And then a number of mishaps between then, overpaying Le'Veon Bell, overpaying guys like Jermaine Johnson, the optics of how it looks like when Anthony Barr spurned the team. It looked like Kirk Cousins spurned the team. So not only the moves, but I think the perception around the guy all led to him getting fired.
You think Le'Veon Bell plays week 1 with the Jets?
Yes, he's not getting traded. That you want to talk now. If that happens, I will go, okay, the Jets are dysfunctional, okay? I mean, because, again, Adam Gase might not have wanted to pay Le'Veon Bell $12 million a year, but I guarantee he wanted Le'Veon Bell. I mean, gosh, you get a chance.
You're a better team with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah, you're the offensive play caller. You're known as the quarterback whisperer. All the things you want to work,
yes.
Le'Veon Bell can help. So that doesn't make any sense.
All right, no spleen zone number 2.
Yeah.
In the news is Patrick Peterson, who unfortunately the NFL announced Thursday he's suspended for the first 6 games to start the season. He violated the league's PED policy. It happened the same day that he was at his 2019 Patrick Peterson Celebrity Golf Tournament. So that
stinks,
that was poor timing for him. He'd known about it for months before then. But he has come out and said that you understand my character. He's basically saying, you understand my character. If you're watching on YouTube, you see the full quote here. Definitely sorry for what broke out today. For the most part, I think you guys understand my character and also understand my commitment on and off the field and also to my teammates and also to the Arizona Cardinals organization. So you understand my character. It's a 6-game PED suspension, but guys, it wasn't that bad because I got good character. What do you think of that?
Well, no, your character's in question. I don't understand your character. I don't. And first of all, I know you don't know me that well, but if you listen to my old podcast or anything I say now, I am so anti-cheating. It drives me crazy. In fact, to the point where I even told Matt Casey, the producer here, when I made my 5 top route runners in football 2 weeks ago, I put Julian Edelman on there, and I shouldn't have because he's been busted for PEDs, and I should have never done that. And it pissed me off after I did it that I gave him the credit for that. But to me, no, Patrick Peterson, your character and our understanding of it is out the window. And again, I like Patrick Peterson in a lot of ways, but it's hard for me to root for him or buy that bullshit propaganda right there. I mean, okay, there's a lot of things that got to go on for you to fail a drug test. A lot of checkpoints where you
go through it, because I don't know that.
Let alone just failing, but I'm just talking about the checkpoints so you get your point to where you have a lot of points where you come to the crossroad and go, I'm not doing something good here. I'm cheating. I'm doing this wrong. Okay, and Peterson had, probably lots of incidents of that, whether that's first calling the person to try to get the PEDs to help you, to the point now to where, wow, here I am actually going to take the PEDs and receive the benefits of it. Right. But then to further it along, he got a 6-game suspension. Why? Because it's usually a 4-game suspension, but gets an extra 2 because the NFL also cost a masking agent in his urine or blood or whatever they took in this instance. A masking agent to cover up the fact that he was cheating.
Right.
So, I'm against that. Patrick Peterson was probably on his way to the Hall of Fame. I know he wouldn't get my vote now. Sorry. It ruins it forever as far as that's concerned. I don't know what you were doing prior to this, but certainly in question altogether. And I'm certainly allowed to question your character at this point because of all the steps you took to cheat and also knowingly cover it up, and then also go to the front office and have the audacity to say, restructure my contract so I don't lose as much money in this suspension, and then Also to say it stinks that it broke out on this day of my charity event. The big thing is all these problems trace back to one spot, and that's to Patrick Peterson, because he caused all these problems. So, I just I'm not for it. Cheating in sports has no place for me, especially PEDs. Not only are you cheating, guys on your team who are trying to make the roster.
Sure.
You're, cheating the sport in general by taking something that's going to make you better than you really are. You can, of course, become a bigger, stronger man to where you can endanger players you're playing against now because you're capable of applying more force than you normally would be. And also, you can also endanger yourself because you become bigger or stronger than your body was intended to be, to where all of a sudden you plant your leg in the ground, your ACL tears, and you're going to go, why? Well, because you're stronger than what you're supposed to be.
And I think that's a key point that I don't think enough people think about, especially last year with Julian Edelman, because I think there was a lot of people that said, Julian Edelman, okay, here you are. You're a small receiver. You tore your ACL.
Right.
What are you going to do? Your career might be over. I don't blame the guy. People say, I don't blame the guy for doing everything he can to try to get back into football because your career is almost going to be over. Without thinking, I think that the false idea is that if he doesn't play football, then it's just like, oh, no one gets that job. Well, no. Someone else would have taken Julian Edelman's job. Right?
Yes.
It's exactly what you're saying there.
Right.
It wasn't like it just wouldn't have existed. Someone else would have had that job and had an opportunity to play in Tom Brady's offense and maybe become a star and a Super Bowl champion. And so you are taking an opportunity away from someone else by doing something to your body that's ultimately not healthy. And I think that's where you hear from so many players. And it's so telling that you are a guy who has come out strongly against the use of performance-enhancing drugs. But even that, you still forgot about Julian Edelman and put him in the fact that you're so strong against it, but in this realm of the NFL, not this way in Major League Baseball, where it seems like once a guy has been tabbed with that scarlet letter, he is forever seen as a cheater in the game.
Well, it took forever to get to that point. I mean, they went 20 years with just going, hey, you're taking steroids? Me too. Let me have some. It's like candy at a candy store.
Yeah.
So it took a point to get that. But I know what you're saying. And the NFL, and honestly, in our sports culture right now in America, I feel like we don't make as big a deal about this issue as we used to. And certainly not with the NFL. You're right. In baseball, it seems to be made a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the harshness of the suspension. Maybe the fact that you can't play in the playoffs, right, when you get suspended in baseball.
And like Barry Bonds, his home run record will never be revered like Babe Ruth
Definitely
or
not.
Henry Aaron or anything like that. But I feel like Julian Edelman was pretty revered for coming back and winning a Super Bowl last year with the Patriots.
I agree. I have an issue with that. I really do. I don't get that. And we're in a weird place in our culture right now where we're kind of swiping this stuff under the rug, I think, too easily. One, what kind of example are we setting for, like, young children? My son, who I think about in these instances a lot, like, come on, that's not cool for him to see that. Like, oh, it's cool to cheat and do something else. Two, this is the other thing that drives me crazy. Never gets talked about with this subject. More times than not, these guys are taking things that are illegal through the federal judiciary system. Yeah. Nobody talks about that aspect of it, that they're taking substances that are not legal in our country more times than not, that you're not allowed to take. So there's that aspect of it too. Not only are you breaking rules within the game, you're breaking the law to go with it, to cheat, to become better at the game, to gain more money and fame and whatever it may be. So yeah, that to me annoys me. And
so here's the difference, I think, with baseball is that there really was an uprising within the player group, the union. They wanted to clean up the game because for them, they didn't want it to be a requirement to be a Major League Baseball player that you had to put your body in danger and take steroids that could have an adverse effect later in life to you. And so it was for them, it was a player health and safety issue, is that I don't want to have to take this stuff or make the decision just to compete in Major League Baseball. So I'm surprised that you haven't heard that uprising in the NFL where enough players haven't come out and said, let's cut it out because I don't want to have to make this decision and put my body and my family in danger by doing some illegal stuff.
I think it would have to be, and again, I mean, this is a good conversation. It's a deep topic. There's a lot of things we can go here. I think the big thing is you'd have to have more famous big-time players in the NFL test positive to then maybe get the backing from the rest of the players to be like, this is bullshit. We got to stop this. I think that's what happened in baseball. It was, oh, Mark McGwire. Oh, Sammy Sosa. Yep. Oh, Barry Bonds. Oh, my gosh, every one of our stars in the sport is tainted with steroid use. And that hasn't become the case in the NFL. We've had some spottiness here and there. This star took this star took that. But, it seemed like finally Major League Baseball and the players realized, wait, like there's truly a culture here, and it's starting to hurt our sport a little bit. And the NFL hasn't reached that point, and I hope it never does reach that point. And I hope the NFL continues to make their PED drug testing system stronger and stronger and harder to get away with crap like cheating on drug tests.
Yeah, it is fascinating how it's just totally different. It's just you say cheating, and you almost in baseball, it's like, yeah, he's definitely cheating. In football, you're like, is he really cheating, or is it just kind of the way you have to be in the game? And that's sad. But it's super interesting. 6-game suspension for Patrick Peterson. Number 3 in our no spleen zone. Big Ben says he's sorry. He's sorry for everything that I said about Antonio Brown after Week 12 against Denver. That was when he called him out on a poor route and called out the offensive play caller and said that he should have gone to Juju a lot more on that drive. We actually do have the soundbite from Big Ben saying, AB, I'm sorry.
It's a fine line to walk sometimes of giving information out, giving kind of some cool things for the fans to be a part of, and maybe saying too much. And I know that I took some heat, and deservedly so, for some of the comments that I've made on that show, and especially towards him. And I genuinely feel bad about that, and I'm sorry. Did I go too far after that Denver game? Probably.
Did I go too far? Probably.
Definitely. Just say definitely, first off. Like, just say that. Just get it out of the way. You know, he dances around. If you listen to the rest of the conversation, too, he kind of goes back and forth a little bit with kind of trying to make an excuse for himself if you kind of listen to the rest of the interview, too, on that last interception against the Denver Broncos. But, I mean, hey, you want to talk about, like, the no spleen zone? What is this really? What's the spin here? It's, oh, shit, I got to go back in the locker room tomorrow and see guys again. I better try to, like, clear the record a little bit and let guys know what I really meant, or that I am actually sorry about some of the things that have gone on.
He's already remedied that. He went on that boat on that cruise in Georgia with his teammates. It's already fixed.
That's where I honestly, when I heard yesterday, I did think about, he invited the skill guys to his house, lake house in Georgia. Was there any conversation over the weekend? Does a Juju Smith-Schuster go, yeah, dude, you need to make like a comment publicly, like what you did to Antonio Brown was not cool. There's guys in the locker room that, don't respect that you said that, whatever it is. Did a moment like that happen? Or is Big Ben just smart enough to realize, like, okay, did the light flash on and go, okay, I got to obviously change my ways a little bit. And what I did was not right. And if I am going to get the respect of the locker room, we're going to improve as a team going forward, I got to change my ways and hold myself a little bit more accountable. Because I can tell you that was bullshit what he did to Antonio Brown. I mean, come on. That was a horrible decision, horrible throw. It was a defensive tackle that intercepted it, and he was trying to blame the route. I mean, what did he want Antonio Brown to do? Run between the defensive line and the offensive line? I mean, that was the only way he was going to come underneath that guy. So just unrealistic, broke the man code, broke the locker room code. And he's trying to do damage control right now to show the team in the locker room that he's going to be a new man going forward.
So let's see if Antonio Brown accepted the pseudo apology. He tweeted out, and he tweeted 2 words. He goes, two-face.
Yeah, he's not buying it.
No, he is not buying it.
No, he's had enough, and he seems like he is not going to unrelent on Big Ben at any point. But I mean, I
don't think Big Ben really will change, honestly, because from what you hear from the team, the people that matter, Mike Tomlin, they condone the actions for the most part of Ben Roethlisberger. They say he has that right to call out players. So I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure above him in that organization that are calling him out and saying that he did anything wrong. And so I think taking his teammates out and the skill guys out and going on a boat in Georgia was a good idea.
It's a good step, right, to get some camaraderie.
I don't think he feels that bad about how it all went down, probably.
Not. No, he's going to miss that he's not there catching his footballs this year. That's probably where he feels bad or worse than anything. But, hey, I would say this to Big Ben, too. Hey, screw the radio interview the weekly radio appearance.
He gets very loose on that, right?
It always gets him in trouble, right? It always ends up going back to that where he gets himself in trouble with some sort of comment. So to me, hey, there's been enough talk in Pittsburgh the last few years in general, whether it's been Le'Veon Bell's contract situation, Antonio Brown's issues on and off the field, Big Ben causing issues, James Harrison not being happy in Pittsburgh, then going to New England, spouting off. Like, just got to be a little less talking to me and a little bit more playing and maybe a little more focused on the task at hand.
So, quarterbacks do that, right? Because you want the leader. You want to be able to feel like you can challenge the guys. You have to have that respect of the guys too. So it's got to go both ways. And I'm curious. I mean, you're a quarterback, and you're in that position where you're expected to be the leader. Mm-hmm. You're maybe expected at times, if you feel like the play of your teammates is faltering, maybe to make a comment. Did you ever have that moment in your career where you felt like now is the time for me to call out this receiver, this player?
No, I think the first way you gain respect of player on the offense, and I know just at least in the few times that I felt like I gained respect, was the accountability factor. Like when we're watching the film as a full offense.
Yeah.
And maybe somebody lines up wrong, and I take the heat because I go, you know what? I told him to line up there. That was my fault. Or, hey, coach, I messed up in the huddle and said this, and I should have said that, and that's why Mike Allstott ran the wrong route into the flat. Whatever it may be. When you do things like that, the players then know, oh, this dude's got my back, and he ain't afraid to take the heat from the coach and do that. Those are the things you have to do right off the bat, is to be a leader. That's why Tom Brady's so revered up in New England, right? Because guys go in there and they see, damn, Bill Belichick just yelled at Tom Brady like he was the third-string defensive back.
Yeah.
And he didn't bat an eye. And, yeah, it's the ability to take that accountability, or be accountable to yourself, I should say. And, the only positions I ever felt like I could yell at were the offensive line at times. Offensive line could take it. Other positions, hey, a receiver drops the football, a receiver makes a mental mistake. Gosh, they're getting yelled at by the head coach or the offensive coordinator or their wide receiver coach before the play's even over. So there's nothing that I, as the quarterback, was going to do.
Yeah.
I, more times than not, took the other way around, like where if a receiver dropped the ball and it hit him right in the chest, I would literally take the blame and be like, I should have thrown a better spiral. My bad. Not my bad. That was a tough one to catch, because I wanted to keep them in the right frame of mind. I didn't want them to go, oh gosh, damn, I'm off my game here, and Chris is questioning me and all this. And also, I knew that if they dropped the ball like that, damn, Gruden or somebody was going to get on their ass anyway. So they didn't need to hear it from me too.
Not like they were trying to drop that ball.
Exactly right. So I always tried to stay positive.
Next time I'm going to catch the ball that's right in the numbers.
Yes,
That's a good point, Chris.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
But I, more times than not, took that route. And with the guys that were like a constant pain in the ass and always screwing up, more times than not, as a quarterback, I feel like I never had to get on them, because the coaches were already all over them, because they were screwing up on a regular basis.
And you were going to see it. You might not see him again, right?
Yeah, well, right, exactly.
Like,
just move on. But O-line was the only one I ever felt comfortable about, like I could yell at and be like, hey, what the guys?
Yep.
Like, are we going to block anybody today? Can I throw one throw without getting hit today? Like, they were capable on the field of taking that. I always say they're cows, and they will graze in the corner until you put a poker in their ass and get them going sometimes, and that's the way all linemen are.
I mean, that's such a good point, because you kind of build up this whole environment of accountability, right? And if you're the one who's accountable and say, my bad, then all of a sudden other people feel like, okay, then I feel safe doing that too. Hey, that's my bad. I screwed that up.
It starts a culture of going, you know what, I got to be better first before I start
because
pointing
the
the finger at
opposite
everybody
can
else.
be true. You can build up the culture of the opposite, where it's like, oh, let's blame.
Excuse.
Right. And get it off of me.
Coach told me this, or in the meeting last week we said this. Yes, and that's never good.
I'm trying to teach that to my 4-year-old right now.
Yeah.
Who I'm having a very tough time. Everything that happens is someone else's fault.
Yeah, of course, right.
He falls down. He goes, oh, it's because someone was talking to me while I was walking. I'm like, no, you just tripped and fell. So I got to bring you over somehow and instill this.
You could do it. You got him. You just got to crack the whip a little bit.
No, I'll go. That was my fault that you fell down. I was distracted.
You're right. I was talking too much. Sorry.
Then he'd go, you're right, Dad. It was your fault.
Yeah, right.
Go, no, you're not learning. Okay, cool. So that's a little spleen going on from a little spleen from Ben Roethlisberger. There might be a lot of spin going on in New York, not just with the Jets. We also got that other team over there that we have some
Show
spin.
them respect.
We have some spin with the Giants.
Yes.
We will show them respect. But here's a few tweets that have come out about the Giants. This one from Matt Lombardo. It's a beat writer that covers the team. He said, first team period for Eli Manning, 1 for 6 with 2 interceptions. This was after we saw another tweet that Coach Shermer said, Eli Manning looks really good. He's throwing the ball well and looks strong physically. Those two don't match up. Where's the spin?
You think? Well, the spin is the continuing spin of the New York Giants.
Yes.
Well, to me, this is where this is why I thought this subject was entertaining to a degree, because, I know there's some people up here in the New York, the tri-state area, are trying to go like, does Daniel Jones have a chance to be the week 1 starter and challenge Eli Manning? No, just for things just like that right there. I'm not going to believe the Giants will bench Eli Manning until I see it. I have got to see it to believe it. It's been about 5 years now of making up excuses for him whenever it is. Apparently, nobody in the organization is allowed to say anything negative about him. He hasn't played a bad game in the last 7 years, and he hasn't had one bad moment, if you really notice it. And I know I sound like I'm a jerk right now, but I'm just going.
Once you win a Super Bowl or 2, you can do no wrong.
I mean, this case will certainly accentuate that point. I mean, it's 1 playoff appearance since 2011. It's the most losses in football out of any quarterback. It's the most interceptions by any quarterback in football. You can go down the list. But the Giants are going to continue to make those type of excuses. And, it just speaks to the ongoing propaganda of, I don't know if it's the Maras or the Tisches or just they've put the kibosh on anybody in that organization to ever say anything bad. But, the big thing is this. The first OTA, 1 for 6, 2 interceptions the first team period.
Yeah.
To me, and I know this is just practice and we're just in May, that's still like a little bit like, what? He was 1 for 6 with 2 interceptions.
No,
in the first
great defense. Great defense.
Great defense, apparently.
Very good defense.
Because I can promise you, like with guys like Brady or Rodgers or Matt Ryan or, Russell Wilson or Andrew Luck, I can promise you their first team period, if they got 6 throws, nobody's worse than like 5 for 6, and they might have had like 5 bombs or huge completions. We're like, whoa, they're gashing the team. Yeah. Not 1 for 6 with 2 interceptions. So that to me is a little alarming in itself as well.
Okay, so but they're not gonna. He could go 1 for 12 with 5 interceptions, still be the guy week 1.
I don't think there's nothing. He's gonna literally have to throw 10 interceptions in the preseason to get benched for week 1. And I don't even think if he played bad or poorly the first 2-3 weeks of the year, I still don't think anything would happen. I think it's going to take a 2-4, 2-5 type record before Eli's ever sat on the bench.
Well, there is one good thing though, if you're the Giants, is that maybe Eli's numbers aren't going well so far in OTAs, but the duplication of Eli Manning is going very well.
Oh,
if you're watching on YouTube right now, you see the tweet from Matt Mayer over at CBS, and it is a picture of Eli and Daniel standing right behind him.
Same face mask, same helmet,
everything, same lip,
chin strap.
The lip is the same.
Same squint, same lip. Right. I mean, it is the same mannerism altogether. And again, I mean, they cloned him.
They cloned him. They cloned Eli Manning.
We sent a special sperm and egg to David Cutcliffe, and we've cloned another Manning and named him Jones.
It took 20 plus years, and here we are. Here we are right now. So they look almost identical.
Right.
And here's the thing with Daniel Jones, too. He has to be better than what everyone says. Right, because right now the whole story with Daniel Jones is that he's going to be the worst bust in the history of the NFL.
No,
he'll be better than that.
He's going to be better than Christian Hackenberg or Blake Bortles. I can tell you that. I got hope for this guy. What is that?
What is that? Did you just?
Oh, I just hit the music on my phone. I
thought you did that on purpose.
I did not.
I thought you were using it to make a point.
That was Kid Cudi there for anybody. But no, I totally lost what I was thinking about.
Daniel Jones, he's going to be better than Bortles. But you think Bortles is the worst quarterback of all time. Well, that's a low bar.
Shut up. I think Daniel Jones, I don't enjoy the piling on. I did not think he was a first-round quarterback. I thought he was more of a second-round type quarterback if we had to rate him there. Yeah. But I still understand what teams would see as far as him maybe being a potential starter and a franchise quarterback somewhere down the line. I don't think that's totally crazy.
You know who maybe they should have taken?
What?
And I don't know if you saw this.
What person?
Arch Manning.
So
Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Nephew of Eli and Peyton.
Yep.
He made his varsity debut for Isidore Newman High School in New Orleans. He is the son of Cooper Manning, who I've heard now is not Cooper, it's Kaupa.
Something like that. I'm not even going to say it.
Okay.
I don't even know.
I don't know.
Whatever. Apparently, it's like Koopa. Koopa? Kuppa?
King Koopa. It's a Cuppa. Cuppa. We just heard.
But I mean,
anyway,
if you're watching on YouTube,
the point is Arch Manning, 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
break down the style.
Wearing the 16 like, older Uncle Peyton did.
Does he look like a Manning to you?
He totally looks like a Manning. I mean, he did a few pump fakes, and the body language and the technique he used was so Manning. It was unbelievable. I like his throwing motion. It's real tight and compact, actually. I actually like his throwing motion, better than Eli's at this point.
Really?
Eli and I do. And not to say he's going to beat Eli or better than Eli.
He's a freshman, still a long way to go.
Yes, a long way to go. He's got a lot of growing to go, certainly. But, I mean, come on. There's not a more special family in the history of the NFL than the Manning family. And I know I just got done getting on Eli. Again, I think Eli's awesome, and he had an awesome career. So I don't want to detract that. I don't think he's awesome right now. I don't think he was awesome last year. I'm just trying to be real with you, everybody here. But, damn, 2 Super Bowls, best quarterback in Giants history. I get all that. Peyton Manning, for me, is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the history of the sport. Archie Manning was a legend who was just caught on a shit team his whole career. But, yeah, I think Arch has got a chance to be something.
He can basically go to any college he wants.
I would think so.
He
The way it looks
right now,
there.
right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it looks like it's all going in the right direction, and he's certainly going to grow and be tall and has an athletic gene to begin with. So, yeah, if you're playing the potential card, I would say that kid's got potential.
So Rivals has already listed the top 3 for Arch Manning.
Right.
This is not where he is considering. It's just where they think he may go.
Okay.
LSU,
all right
there, hometown program.
Yeah, I get you.
Tennessee,
yeah,
right, Peyton,
right.
and then Ole Miss.
Oh, so they just went with the old family name.
It's pretty easy. I think Duke with Coach Cutcliffe for sure.
If he's still there, yep, that's right.
At that point, they could need another clone. Right? They could get the almost even closer than Daniel Jones. So that is Arch Manning as well. Is there any other news we got? Any other thing that we missed there? All the spleen that was going on?
I think we got it.
Okay, we got it.
We're done. How did you feel back in the seat?
I do have. So I didn't know if we did winners or losers.
Right.
I know we talked a little bit. Are you a Game of Thrones?
No.
You didn't watch that at all?
I did not watch. I watched a little.
Which kind of seems like it'd be up your alley.
I know. I'm going to watch it. This is a show that the wife and I have talked about. Like, definitely going to get into.
So you're going to go back and watch it, even though you've heard all the negative reaction about the season finale.
I know nothing about it, the reaction. I know people are overwhelmed by it, but I have no idea the specifics. So I don't know. All I know is that there was a water bottle caught in a shot, and that was big
there
news.
was,
yeah.
And a Starbucks
a few weeks ago, right?
A few weeks ago.
Yep.
And it ruined the whole thing for everyone.
Ruined. The dragons aren't real if there's a Starbucks coffee.
And I
thought they were real until then.
I'm not a Game of Thrones. I didn't watch it at all, but I've followed all the reaction on Twitter, and it does make me a little uncomfortable and angry with the mentality of I think there's a lot of people who think the final season of Game of Thrones was so bad that it ruined the whole series for them. All 8 seasons of Game of Thrones. What a waste of time. And I think it's the same kind of mentality in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's where it's like, oh, what a great season. We lost first round of the playoffs. The whole season was a waste of time.
Yeah, right.
We got to get away from that.
No,
enjoy. What do we hear all the time? It's the journey, not the destination, right?
Yeah.
Except in season finales and NFL playoffs, apparently. Then it's all about the destination. Enjoy the journey, because for Game of Thrones fans, I get it. You might be disappointed. It didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. You got 8 seasons. You had over 70 hours of entertainment. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, it seemed like
for 8 years of your life.
It seemed like. I mean,
don't throw it all away.
Enough and got enough news to where I'm going to go back and watch it. I am at some point.
And look for the water bottle and the coffee cup.
Sure. Yep. That's what I'm going to look for. Okay.
I just had to get that off my chest.
Thank you. I'm glad you did.
But I'm very surprised. It's not that hairy.
It's not?
No.
Okay. Thought it might be.
Okay.
I see a few squigglies sneaking out the top there.
I like the desk. I'm getting comfortable with it.
What a great time to end. We've officially run out of things to talk about other than his chest hair. Ahmed Fareed, you're the man. Appreciate it, as always. Chris Simms Unbuttoned. Another episode coming out on Thursday. Be ready for that.
Buffalo?
I'm going to Buffalo tomorrow. I'm going to hang out with Josh Allen, talk a little football, talk about a little Patrick Mahomes. You think you can beat him in a throwing contest?
Oh.
I'm not so sure about that. We're going to see.
You won't say that, Dave.
I don't know if I will either. I don't know. Will beat me up in a hurry. But I appreciate everybody listening. You know where to find me. Peace out, homies. Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Simms Unbuttoned Podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.